All right, we're back, man. This is Timmy Turner. Another episode of TwoBroSmoke coming your way. We're gonna have Tarantula Genetics Travis Spivey's gonna be in the house tonight. We're gonna be chatting it up with him, getting the scoop on everything. So let me wait for him to jump in here. There it is. Boom. Go live. There we
Hey,
are.
Don.
Yeah, that worked smooth, man.
Yeah, it did. It was way smoother, real easy.
So yeah. Glad everybody's here tonight. I know we had 19 before we signed out, so we're gonna have a little crowd tonight. I feel.
Nice. Yeah, I'm
I s-
excited.
Damn, it just jumped to 12, so we're already at 12, and we just started. So I know it's gonna be something serious. So I'm gonna go ahead and get it out the way and throw it out. We're having a giveaway. I made another post before I just went live. So if you want to get in on this giveaway, it's brought to you by Heart and Soul Seeds. Just go to the other post and comment a number in order, like consecutive order. If I was number one, you comment number two, the next person's 3, 4, 5, just like that. Comment, and after this live, I'll get back on live and I'm gonna spin a number wheel or a random generator, and we're gonna have a winner. So anybody that wants to get in on the Heart and Soul giveaway, we got a official rolling tray here and pot of platinum. Got you a matching pack there, so you can roll it up after you grow it. You know what I mean?
Hmm.
So yeah. So let's
That's
get
awesome.
into it, man. Yeah. That's my boy Brett. He's a show sponsor, so I could definitely want to
Sure.
give a shout out to him on that, man. But let's get into it, dude. So you are Travis Spivey, the tarantula.
Yes, I am.
I did a little research about you, man. So tell me about the MMA. I know everybody's gonna be asking about that.
So, I mean, I've been doing martial arts my whole life. I started transitioning to MMA when I was 19, along with my brother and my older sister. They're both older than me. We all did it as a family for about 8 to 9 years. Um, I still technically do it. I just more teach people than I do fight now. Um, Pretty much, I got my nickname Tarantula because of my Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu, and I win most of my fights on the ground, so they give me the nickname Tarantula. I've pretty much just been with that since I was 20 years old. When I transitioned into the weed world, which was like halfway through my career, I was about 21 years old when that happened. Um, I didn't like think of my company or anything like that. I kind of just grew pot to grow pot. Medically, it helped me feel better after my training and stuff like that. But when it came down to me kind of taking off in my cannabis career about when I was 24 years old, I started working at the grow stores and diving my whole life into cannabis. That's when I started coming up with the idea that, why let my nickname go and not just continue the nickname on.
Yeah, for sure. It's kind of like your legacy, man.
Yep.
Definitely. I noticed during the fights and stuff, you have a tattoo on your chest. Is that a pot leaf like I think it is?
It used to be a pot leaf. Now it's the tarantula. It was a cover up. That got you drug tested a lot in fights.
Yeah, I noticed that you were sporting that. I was like, damn, that's different. That's bold. Bring that out in the MMA world because I know a lot of them really aren't for it. Those two worlds just don't mix a lot. So it's
They
just
don't,
something
and I mean
different.
honestly, that's my next mission right now is to tell you the truth. A lot of they don't mix to the uh officials. They don't want you to be able to use it. They count it as a fight enhancing drug. But do the people use it? Yes, there is a huge community in the MMA community that smokes, that are fighters. A lot of them pay their bills so that they can continue to train all day from growing herb. You know what I'm saying? They just don't talk about it so they don't get drug tested every time because it's supposed to be random when you fight. They pick one fight out the night and both the fighters have to do it. But if you're sitting there with a pot leaf on your arm, you'll be chosen out randomly a lot more often, you know?
Yeah.
So, some of these fighters do to still try to smoke and they just try to quit like a week or two before the fight and get it out their system because they're cutting so much weight. And then they just hope that they don't get tested. So trying to be a target on your back is not something most of the fighters like to do. But I'm trying to bring this world in a lot with my names. Like I'm going to start moving the gender of my names away from what the normal community sees from things such as like the knockout punch. I'm going to start making things like liver kick, triangle chokes, stuff of that sort, stuff that other people are going to recognize my company from just from the name, as opposed to these gelatos and cakes and everything else. You know, it doesn't really matter what it's crossed with. It's your genetics. You can make whatever name you want to. And the footprint I want to imprint on the world is bringing these two communities that I've learned my whole life together and showing that there is a spot for this for the people, and that I think it'd take off really well for them to be able to correlate, you know, jiu-jitsu or Thai boxing or taekwondo, along with some of the names of the strains that they get to grow from my company, um, you know, as opposed to growing the same names that somebody else has, dosey cake or, you know, whatever else cake they decide to make, you know. So I think there's a huge world to be able to breed them both together and intertwine to where the community just hasn't seen that yet.
Yeah, for sure. And like I can totally stand behind that because like you were saying, I guess it would be more used in the training and the resting phases than the actual fighting because I don't imagine people want to go smoke and
No.
then fight.
Yeah,
So,
you're not outside basting wax bong hits before you're about to go out there with your adrenaline high.
yeah.
That's for sure.
So to
Uh,
me, it's not really a performance enhancing drug. You know, if it
no, it's
was like
not.
meth, then I could be like, yeah, the dude was jacked up on meth and went and fought, you know. But this is, you know, it's cannabis. So the dude was just chilled out, you know.
100%. I mean, honestly, to tell you the truth, I mean, I know it's a little off subject, but in the fight game, there's so many different drugs that they get used as steroids that when the Nevada State Athletic Commission finally finds out something and bans it, the fighter has somebody else just make some new drug that's not banned yet, and they're still using it for, you know, altering what they could physically do. Someone going home and smoking weed or smoking weed before they go train is not going to make them a better person at the end of the day. You know what I'm saying? Neither
Yeah,
is drinking a beer at the end of the day. But when it comes down to it, there is, you know, you can go to GNC right now and go buy stuff that's probably going to be on the market for the next 6 months. And then, you know, once it gets banned, people won't be able to use it in competition no more and it won't be hot anymore, you know. But you can go buy
yeah,
it at your corner place just because it ain't got banned yet doesn't mean that it ain't a performance enhancing drug. In a sport like that, just similar to what I've noticed in the cannabis airs too, in a sport like that, people just want to be the best no matter what, but they do not want to work for it. They don't want to have to go train 9 hours a day. They'd rather take some type of drug that's going to make it to where when they train, they're jacked up and have stronger, faster reflexes and they don't feel as much pain. Why do I have to learn how to fight if I can just go out there and take all your energy and damage and then continue to keep going and hit you harder? The same idea happens in, you know, unfortunately in the breeding world too. People like to take shortcuts and use other people's work and sell it out or do whatever they're going to do with it, and it, it'll get the job done. Don't get me wrong, but eventually someone's going to notice what you're doing and they're going to call you out for it, you know. And if that's the type of competition you like to play, you ain't going to be ashamed of it. You already knew that was a risk, you know. So you're either going to be a person that uses the drugs or don't use the drugs.
yeah.
So for sure.
I like that you can put that into an analogy that deals with the cannabis breeding. You know, a lot of that stuff, you know, it goes hand in hand. You know, a lot of different worlds, like they might not necessarily mix, but they're the same. They just don't realize it. It's the same kind of crap, you know. So I totally see, you know, where that would work in the breeding field as well. You know, people, you know, pretty much trashing everything out, you know, just to go ahead and make a quick buck. I can totally relate to that, you know.
100%. Yeah, it's the same thing you see in anything, actually. I mean, you go to a job and the dude's kissing ass next to you that ain't working as hard, but he's spending more time hanging out with the manager and shit. He's probably gonna get the position before you get the position, man. It's a sad world. It's it's exactly the way it is, you know. People's hard work is not what's noticed. It's the people you know and the things that you do in order to get your spots into this cannabis world. And someone like me, I don't know no one, you know. I'm just now starting to be noticed by people, but I know no personal body that's, you know, bigger in the cannabis community. I'm the biggest person I know personally to myself. You know, all my friends look up to me for what I'm doing. Uh, it's been like that in my MMA career. I didn't hang out with anyone after I trained. I didn't feel like I needed to go to the bar with my gym partners to be noticed to get my fights and stuff. You know, I didn't feel like I needed to go out there and beg for sponsorships to get sponsorships. like other people were doing. It's just hard work and dedication. You go in there day in and day out, and you go after whatever your dream is, and anything's possible. And that's literally how I've stuck my mind to this cannabis community for the last at least 6 years of my 10 years of cannabis. It's been nothing but that now. Everything I do is to go above and beyond what I see the competition doing. And that's the reason why I stand behind what I do so much. People forget that in breeding, there's a special art of growing your own weed. When you breed your own stuff, you get to smoke it first, and you get to be the first person in the world that smokes that strain. And there's nothing more exciting than smoking the most fire, knowing that you're smoking some complete fire, and then you go out and give it to people, and all of a sudden they all agree the same way. It feels good, and it's what I breed for. I breed just so that I can grow the next best thing before everyone else. It sounds greedy and mean, and I do it for the people too, but it's mainly just so that I can grow the best thing. And that's how I'm going to keep myself humble. I don't want to grow poop or represent poop or have anything else that's just not tested or put out there. It'll always be tested by me, because I'm going to grow it, and I'm actually excited about what I crossed. I never take clones from people that I cross with. Everything I cross is from seeds that I hunted out for characteristics that I feel fathomable about. And then when I breed it, I'm actually excited about it. I don't just breed because two names sounded good together. They're what I've seen in characteristics and what I believe was going to pass through and be true. And if not, then I'm going to have to F2 it, F3 it, F4 it to make the line true.
So tell me the evolution of Tarantula Genetics. Like, how did you first get into it, and then where has it went? The stepping stones to get to where you're at now.
So, like I said, I started working at the grocery store about 7 years ago. I've always bred for myself for about the last 8 years now. When I would breed, it'd be like one branch. I'd just take some small pound, and I'd get 15, 20 seeds, and I would start letting a couple of them seeds go to like customers. A lot of them started liking it. I was like, cool, just call me, the tarantula. And then after a while, Michigan started going legal, and that was in 2018 for recreational. And there was a 100 plant macro business that you can go for, or 150 plant micro business. And that was when, like, I got a lawyer, and he was like, you're going to have to come up with some type of name and something. And that was before I was like, I'm going to be a breeder or anything real. I've already bred for myself. I want to be a grower for the state of Michigan. When I came up with the name, I went and did a bunch of breeding so that I could have strains that nobody else had. And I decided at that moment, these strains are really, really fire, and they've been tested out by a couple different sources. Why not release them? I have bulk. And at that time, once they started getting grown, people started to realize that, this dude's not messing around with the strains that he's got going. And that was about 3 or 4 years ago on Instagram, just about 3 now. And this past year, we made big strides and steps. We got a building and everything else we needed for Tarantula Genetics to take forth and get a foothold in Michigan. Just a 100 plant grow up to start with, but we're part of the metric system. I'm still in the middle of building this place out. It's been over a year and a half. It's one of the hardest things I've ever had to do. But, just like everything else in life, you can't give up the hard work. I don't expect this to be handed easy, so I'm going to keep going every day to deal with the problems. But Tarantula Genetics will be a household name of Michigan recreational pot soon, on top of being a household name for worldwide, because everyone should be part of this Tarantula Genetic wave, rather it's recreational, medical, or just homegrown. And that's the way that I see the best way to stay in this industry will be, is to not only be what they want to smoke from your company, but to make sure every other company wants to grow whatever you're growing too. So be a part of their money too. I can't be as big as them, but they can sure as hell pay me some of their stuff in order to grow what I'm growing, whether it's from clones in the metric system or seeds that they're going to buy from me to start. It worked itself out in a weird way to just put my foot in the door correctly.
Definitely, man. So I know that you mentioned that, like, when you used to I get Pheno hunt all of your different selections, you went with what you were looking for.
100%. So, like, for instance, I like to put this out with the Puda breath because it's the easiest way to explain it. When you go look up Puda breath, or you look at the phenos that Thug Pug and all everybody keeps, they're spread out buds, and they smell very, very putrid, is the way they describe it. It's gas and just putrid smelling. When I hunted that phenos out between two of the packs of the Puda breaths that I ran through, 24 seeds, I found a pheno that catered to the wedding cake side of it. That's the phenol I was looking for. I didn't really care for the Mindo breath. I like the wedding cake terps that came out of it more. That is not the phenol other people seem to go with when they went with it. But what I did notice out of it is not only did it have the wedding cake smell, but the bud structure was completely different. And that's what fathomed me to keep that phenol over the other. It was no longer spaced out buds. These were huge colas. These colas were something that you would all over because it was just, I mean, they were the size of your forearm, every single one of them. It didn't have bud rot problems. So that's what I wanted to continue on to breed out. And throughout everything I've ever crossed with that Buddha breath, that's bred out that characteristic for me. You know, the cake smell, huge, ginormous buds. These are all characteristics I cared to keep for, to where other people find other characteristics they want to keep for. Other breeders, though, they take clones from somebody else because it's a cannabis winning cup clone. So cool, I'll take that Runts clone because it's the Runts. Well, why are you
Yeah.
breeding with it besides the fact that it has a name? There is nothing out of that Runts that I felt like, breeding. So why are you breeding with it? It's just because they want to get that name out. They don't really care if they got to test that or grow that in their own gardens. They just know that that's going to sell by itself. That's not the way that I really care for stuff. I don't care if it sells or not. I care if the product's going to grow to my likings. And one of the biggest things that I breed for is low leaf ratio to bud ratio, along with high, easy consecutive grows. Then comes in all the quality and everything else. The quality just sticks there because, when you start to work the right genetics, they will end up having the quality you want. But pheno hunting out strains that have less leaf ratio to bud ratio, because when you go into these bigger commercial facilities, you can't process yourself without a processing license. So why the fuck would I want trim? I got to sell this at dirt low cheap to some processor for him to go make his money. It's literally just losing me money to do this trimming. And I have to pay trimmers to trim that stuff. So why not make something that can produce 3 pounds of light, but only gives you a quarter pound to trim so that they have to do less trimming and you don't have to worry about what you're selling at the end. You made that all in the weight of weed for the trim. And that's the reason why I went to breeding that direction for my last run, is because that is meant for being manufactured weed. This is going to be high yielding, easy growing weed that didn't take much man labor in order to maintain, lollipop, or do anything else that you're going to have to do defoliate, because all that stuff starts to add up when you're paying a work team in order to do your stuff. So that's what I bred for, on top of being a connoisseur strain that's going to stand out in the dispensary when they do buy it, so that they'll make sure that they buy my stuff, or maybe even put up exclusive deals, because I'm a small craft breeder, or not breeder, but a grower at that point. So in order to do that, you got to have a strain that stands out, that has a good nose appeal, bag of pills, 10, and everything it is to the consumer. They just love it. But then also when I grow it, I'm not sitting here kicking myself in the ass going, man, why am I growing 10 Gorilla Glues right now? This fucking sucks. I can't stand the fact I got a double trellis. I can't stand the fact that they got to trim longer. They got to do all this extra work and tie branches up all day. That's all man louse. If you can just have a strain that's, 10 out of 10 out of your grow op, and then they also like it 10 out of 10 in the smoke department, you're pretty much win-winning. And you're not going to get that by just matching names up. You're going to get that by selectively pheno hunting the correct stuff that you're looking for, and the correct type of characteristics and genos that you want to pass on.
Yeah, for sure. So what's some of the stuff you have available now? As far as what's your current lineup? If people want to go grab it today.
Right now, we're running a little bit low on my last line we did. We have a strawberries and cream reg line that has two strains left on it: strawberry grape smoothie and strawberry dreams. And then on the fem line, we have 4 strains left: apple punch, gorilla punch, knockout punch, and burnt punch is all left on them. Everything is running low, but we are in works. I have all my testers out with the new reg line, strawberry kush breath reg line I got going. And I'm in the middle of running over 2 different facilities over them. And I just actually started the room I'm in now is my garage. My location took forever getting started out here, so I decided I'm going to start my garage up. So I'm slowly building. I got one light going in here, just popped a bunch of seeds like 2 days ago. So
Nice.
yeah, I'm about to fill it up the rest of the way in the next couple of days and pop it on another 50 seeds in here and get this place going, because I don't sound like I'm going to be able to put plants at my new location until about February now. So I decided this would be best to just start this room and stop waiting and procrastinating.
Yeah, I seen those videos of your other facility, man. That's some pretty high tech looking stuff.
Yeah, that's my medical grow, and I mean honestly, the new grows. This garage is actually built better than that place is. Like it ain't as big, but this room itself is like going to be able to do VPD instead of just relatively humidity. My other rooms can't handle VPD. They got cheap dehumidifiers, normal fans, and AC, nothing that controls on controllers yet. This room's going to be ran all through the controller and stuff. I feel like stepping the game up one more notch to the notch that, the top of the line for the genetics that you can run is the VPD. And that's just something I feel like doing. It's a very testy water if you don't know what you're doing, but I feel that I'm confident in the equipment that I have in order to maintain it. So that's really the most testy part is any equipment that fails. You're probably going to get mildew or have issues or heat issues, because it's all ran through controllers to connect to your dehumidifier and AC all at once. Local Delta asked, how can he get my gear? You can get them either through Tarantula Genetics on Instagram, my account, or you can go through my Facebook fan page, the Tarantula Genetics fan page 2.0 or 2.5, and use any one of the verified vendors on there.
Yeah, definitely. Shout out every link to you, as far as everybody finding you, because that's what the whole point of it is to, get you out there. So definitely shout out all your stuff, man.
You there? Dropped
Yeah, I'm here.
you for a second, looked like.
Oh yeah, you good? But yeah, shout out all your links and stuff and all your pages and stuff. I know you did. What was the lunchbox pack thing that
Yeah,
everybody
the Arachnophobia box.
tell them about it. That was just insane, dude. I watched that. I'm too poor to get in on that, but dude, I watched that and that was insane, dude.
So the Arachnophobia box had, I think it was 35 different strains in it. Um, Out of this lines that I've done, there was 3 strains that I didn't release. Um, and then out of the reg line, there was 2 strains that I didn't release. They got all them strains plus every strain that I made on top of 2 of my older strains that was made back in the day for personals, with a banner, special box giveaway, and all of it was unlimited edition packaging for them. So they went for a pretty nice penny, and everyone that got them was super ecstatic to get them. And what I liked about it most is that the 2 people that did get them weren't some groups trying to sell them, because that's really who was out there trying to get them, was someone trying to get the box and sell them as individual packs for more, which I don't mind. It was an auction and a raffle, so they're both fair play. But I'm glad that both people that won were just people that were planning on growing out the gear for the next couple of years, man. They got some very, very good diamonds and gems in there. One thing that I like to say is, especially when it comes to some of the strains that I gave them, some of them are rocking close to 6 or 7 years old, like I gave them some original strains of mine. And if they still are rocking and able to pop, you're going to get them in your dirt in the next year or so, man, for sure. I had to pull them out my fridge in order to give them to them. So they're pushing that limit. There are just supposed to be some extras to make them, happy, and I hope they can land because they're the last ones. But that ain't something I would sit there and try to sell 3 or 4 times to multiple different people. It's eventually just not. Someone's going to try to pop it, and they're going to be not getting it popped in 4 years. Seems
Yeah, for sure. But yeah, that box was just, absolutely insane. And yeah, I'm glad it went to some people that really would enjoy the box because, something like that's kind of a special, once in a lifetime experience more than even an item. You know what I mean? So yeah, don't sell the experience in pieces. Nobody wants a piece of it. That's cool that, the people that got it, really put it to good use. That's awesome, man.
It is super awesome. And shout out to Pheno too. I don't know if he's on here or Instagram. I know him from through Facebook, but he's the one that lasered up them boxes for me, man. He has like a special laser, and he was super awesome for doing that. I haven't got to hang out with Pheno yet, but I'll take a moment to give him a shout out as a great person, as of what I've heard from him. He seems to be a very great dude that is trying to get all of his stuff figured out and get himself on a footprint to be known in Michigan too. And I can't wait to be able to get time to smoke with him or possibly do some work with him, man. He's a great guy. It seems really prominent for him.
Yeah, definitely want to give a shout out to Pheno Wolf. I haven't got with him yet because I got a list about 100 names long to get through, but he's on there. So I definitely
No,
want to talk to him about getting him on the show one day for sure.
I'm sure he would love it, man. I'm sure he would love it.
So yeah, like what's the future coming up? I know you was talking about the red line, but what long distance future do you have for Tarantula? Like I know you talk about like worldwide type stuff. Do you have anything necessarily lined up? 5, 10 years down the road you're trying to accomplish?
I mean, I want to be like right now. I got a 32,000 square or 3,200 square foot building. I want to at least have 15 to 20,000 square feet by the next 5 years. Is my objective for the weed side of it. For Michigan. As for the company for the seeds and the breeds, it's going to be the breed the best, man. I'm a very competitive person. It sounds like I'm an asshole sometimes, but I want to be the best. So that's it. And when someone talks in the next 5 years, I'd like to be brought up at every conversation, whether it's bad or good. Um, Hopefully more good, but there will always be haters or someone that wants to say something over something. Regardless of that my main objective is just to sit here and put out the most fire genetics that I can smoke. And if I can get high off of it while smoking joints this size all day to myself, um, I'm sure everyone else can too, you know.
Yeah. Yeah, for sure, dude. Man, I need to get up there to Michigan and come hang out with you, dude. I got to see this grow, man.
Yeah, you should, man. I'd definitely let you come through.
Yeah, man, I'm always broke and never get to travel. That's just life. But if I ever do, dude, I'm definitely gonna hit you up, man. You got that facility. Like I said, it's like totally next gen. Like, what are you using as far as like what's your setup? Like tell
I'm
me
a
a little
double
bit
ender
about how
grower.
you
So
do
right
it.
here, you just seen an LED. The reason why I'm going LED here is because I've only hooked up 48,000 BTUs of cooling in here, and I wasn't planning on using this whole room. So I was going to only do 6 double enders, which would be 6,000 watts. But because the room is a 300 square foot room, I decided to use the whole room and fuck what the hell they were saying, leave that to the birds. And I'm going with 9 LEDs instead. It'll still be about 6,000 watts, but I'll be able to fill up the whole room with the LED. So I'm thinking about doing 2 double enders in the center and the rest LED. But at my main facilities, the one I'm building and the one that I have at my medical grow, they're all double enders, man. You can't truly compete with them. I just don't want to have to buy another AC and have another hookup because that's another permit I got to pull from my house out here, which I just don't feel like doing that when I can technically only grow 12 once my license gets instated. They'll only let me grow 12 here. So I don't really want to bring any red flags to the house after that. So I'm just going to go with the LED because they won't notice that. I don't have to pull permits for that. But normally, if I build a spot, I'm building double enders. You can't compete with what some of them things are doing right now. I mean, they're getting close with the LEDs, but that double enders, you're doing 3 to 4 off them in white.
Yeah, that's definitely something else. Yeah, I've never got into anything that big, man. It gets much bigger than Mars Hydro. I'm like, damn.
Yeah, I show some people my videos in live, and they just can't believe like what the hell's happening. I mean, I don't have many plants. I like to grow bigger plants in order to keep the numbers right. Most people do about 5 plants to 4 plants in the rec market out here per light. I'm doing 1 plant per light out here. My 100 plant grow op is going to be as big as someone's 500 plant grow op. Um, it's, it is just how they grow and how you want to grow. But in cocoa, you can do what you want, and it only takes 9 weeks in order to get a plant that big. So if you start your clones, 2 weeks before you go to flower and flip them, they will finish. By the time you finish, you can restart flower that same size again without having a hiccup. So that's the way that I've always done it because Michigan's always been about numbers, and I never really wanted to get in trouble if they did come in or do anything and be like, "You're over your numbers." That's the least of the concern. That's what starts the rest of the warrant. If they
Yeah,
come in and they see that your numbers are not going to come way up your weed. If they come in and see your numbers are wrong, they're going to come way up your weed and do everything else that they can in order to fucking prove that you're not a medical patient or caring the way you've done. So I've always just kept my numbers right.
yeah, yeah. Best ways to be honest, and then you can't lose.
100%.
Yeah, for sure. So, what are you doing? You said you're doing cocoa. Are you doing it on like a drip system? You ebb and
I
flow?
so I do flood drains pretty much on the cocoa. I pretty much have like halos that water it. But you got to show up every day and fill it. So you come in, your RO water fills up your tank to whatever amount needs of that room, and you mix your nutrients, pH it, and then you press a button. It feeds it in like 3 minutes, and then it all drains itself. So I feed once a day, and I feed them a nice amount, and they're in a big pot. I do a different style of cocoa when I grow with it. I've done a lot of cocoa research, and I've talked to a lot of cocoa growers, and a lot of them have a misconsumption in cocoa, thinking that it needs to be in a smaller pot and that they need to water like all day or twice a day, or it needs to be nutrients every single feeding. All these things are misconceptions. They believe that if you treat it like that, you're going to get soil results. The only way you're going to get soil results is if you treat it like soil. I treat mine more like uh, a high growing, wouldn't call it a hydroponic system because it's not getting fresh water all day, but a fresh feed every single day. And it ain't like that in veg. It's like that only in flower about week 3 and above. Once it's finally fully rooted and ready to go and eat, it'll eat every single day. If I don't show up within 24 hours, the plant's so hungry it's going to look like it's dying. So I try to always show up every day an hour before the lights even come on. It's a habitual. It's more work than it is anything else. You know what I'm saying? But the results that you get out of a bigger pot is I can feed my plant 3.5 gallons in a 7 gallon pot, and that's one plant eating that daily. When you come out that 6 light room or a 4 light room with 5 plants, you're pulling 20 pounds off a 4 light room almost off of the amount of water that you're feeding it. It's really not bad, especially because I do flush twice a week. I do Monday flush and Friday flush, and I test the runoff to maintain a healthy balance of ppm, so that because when I run multiple strains on the same watering system, you either need to add extra nutrients or you need to feed them heavy but maintain a flush before they lock out. And that's the best way to grow multiple strains in a room. So I maintain a high feeding that keeps them to where, cool, if the plant needs extra food, he's getting it. If I do this for a whole week straight, that plant's going to not eat the one that doesn't need it. But if I flush twice a week and maintain the balance, the ones that need it ain't going to get this much flush because I've tested it right. When I do, you plug the saucers up, you test it. If one's reading, 1100 ppm right off the rip, I'm not going to give it any more fresh water. It's already got enough. But if another one's like, I'm at 1800, I got to get that back down. So it's going to get more flush water because it's not a plant that likes to have the extra nutrients, which also allows me to write down in my notes that, hey, this strain here doesn't like the nutrients that high. You have to maintain it. So when someone comes to ask me how does the nutrients work on that genetics, well, I've noticed normally that this one can eat more and not have any issues. So that's something you can do by having individual saucers instead of a big tray. And that's something I take pride in. A lot of people ask me why I don't use like trays or a big rolling box when I do my stuff. It's because I have multiple plants on there and I test their runoff. So they have to give me individual readings so that I can maintain it. So I stick them up on like an elevated bucket along with saucers that have drains to them. And then each one gets a plug on the day of flush, and I run the flush through it until I get it down to 1200 ppms, and then they go back to feeding till Friday, and I do it again on Friday. At the end run of that, and then I give it a 10-day flush at the end. And by flush, some people get confused when I say flush on the last 10 days. The first 3 days, I get it down to 300 ppms, and then I just feed it water the rest of the time, just the amount that it normally gets. So 10 days plus 9 weeks at 2, that's 18 days. That's 28 days of free water in your flowering room on a 63-day cycle. You save a third of your nutrients and didn't lose $1 in your long run. That's the way that I do my grows, and all my grows, I'm able to grow 13, 14 different strains in the same room, and they all grow to their maximum potential by doing this. Yeah, it's a little bit of extra work, and yeah, it's extra equipment you got to buy, like ppm reader, and time you got to spend, but the quality you get from it is in the pudding of the pictures. I mean, it's straight fire every single time, and every strain definitely shows me that it's a healthy plant the whole time through. So that's been the way that I've pretty much grown in my cocoa for the last 3 years and a half now. Talked to some other big head growers in cocoa, and they completely disagreed with everything I had to say, but I had to quickly explain to them they're still following the back of a bottle. I'm not. I have my own custom nutrient line that I follow because I worked at a grow shop for 7 years. So a lot of the stuff that I've learned is from actual nutrient companies, and the custom brand that I've chosen to use has really, really good properties of being cheap, giving you the macronutrients and all your nutrients that you're going to need on top of, giving you alfalfa meal and tricanol and carbohydrates I don't use any organic materials at all. I use no organisms, no nothing of them sorts anymore. Everything is just a pure base nutrients, a PK booster, a sugar, and a root enhancer, which is kelp. Other than that, it's 5 bottles and it costs pretty cheap. A big facility. My garage that was 3 lights cost as much running it off of Canna the way they would tell you to do it, cost as much as it did to fill up my 18 light room in the same amount of month. So
Wow.
yeah,
Yeah,
it's
that's a big difference.
super big difference, man. I stand behind the way by me doing this flush and doing this type of nutrient baths that I've been doing and saving the extra money. My quality has went through the roof, and my potency and my yields have went through the roof because of such. You no longer have lockouts. You no longer have plants that are stressful or lacking. You're no longer playing this broad spectrum that they gave you on the back of a bottle in order to make sure that you can grow some decent herb. You're now playing the broad spectrum of, I got to watch this plant. I'm going to feed him exactly what he needs with these nutrient bottles. And if they need more, I'll feed more and I'll flush the rest more. It, it is what it is in order to get a strain to produce its best quality.
Yeah, for sure, man. Well, man, you definitely put the extra effort in the way you test every single one of the runoffs and stuff like that. Not a lot of people would even go to that trouble. So that's the reason you're going to set yourself apart with the fire. I mean, just straight up. It's those little
Thank
extra
you.
steps that they really lead somewhere. And I really agree with everything you're saying on that. And I like the way that it's flexible. It's like you give them what they could need, but then you take it back in case they don't. You know what I mean?
Yep.
I really like that method. I could see where that would really help, like you said, to grow different stuff at the same time because you don't know who's going to want what. Just kind of like a buffet. We're going to put it out there. Do you want it? And then just take it right back before it hurts them. So I can see that.
I learned most of that idealistic and them thoughts from training. My first 4 years of training, I refused to use anything, not even protein shakes. I figured it was all cheating. I'll just deal with the pain. It's meant to be. Um, After year 5, I tried my amino acids for the first time on a free sample from a sponsor of mine. And when I went home and didn't feel pain anymore, and the next day I could come to the gym just like I was fucking 15 with no pain, and I did that 33 days straight, I realized really quickly that your body can use other things in order to combat the extra exercise you're trying to do. So why not bring that into the same idea of cannabis? You're trying to push your plant to limits on this indoor with the CO2, with all this other extra things you're doing to control the environment on top of the nutrients you're doing. But there is a point to where you just start putting in too much and you're getting no return. And that was like about when I started adding protein into this stuff and a bunch of omegas and other things that I didn't notice a difference for, but I did notice that after me doing it for 30 to 40 days, that once I got off of it, I could no longer do it without it. And that was something I was feared of too. And now if I don't take amino acids when I train, my fucking muscles feel like they're ripping off my shoulders. And it's stuff like that that's like your plant wants you to have a point where you are taking it at and you are going back to its normal roots to show off its normal characteristics. Um, Especially when it comes to breeding, you don't want to sit here and chalk up a strain and make it look fire as hell the best you can and then go breed with it because you worked your ass off to make them look fire. If you polish a turd, it's probably going to give off turd genetics. If you go and have a baby with someone with a bunch of plastic surgery, you're not getting the plastic surgery baby. It's coming out looking like the other girl. So you got to still find its characteristics and expressions without overdoing it. That's why I use basic nutrients and then boosters in it. And then I dial it in and out in order to control the fact that the plant's showing me its normal expressions along with a healthy environment and healthy nutrient regimen. You know, it's ready for me to push it if I need to push it. And it's ready for me to dial it back if I need to dial it back at any time, which is why I like cocoa. You could never do that in pro mixer soil because a flush ain't going to dial it back instantly. Cocoa it will.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, I don't touch cocoa myself. I've did the soil, but never the cocoa. I'm too, I guess, forgetful. And I know the soil is just so forgiving. That's the reason I always did soil, but I've never did anything on the level like you. So it really didn't matter. That incredibly much. But yeah, big shout outs and respect to you, man, on your big grows, man. That's definitely something.
I
Not a
appreciate it. I'm
lot
just
of
getting my
people
foot
get
in
to
the door.
achieve that.
What'd you say?
I said, not a lot of people get to achieve that, you know, something on that kind of level. You know, I couldn't imagine that calling that my job and walking in, dude. It'd be like Disneyland or something. I would never leave. You have to
100%,
drag me
man.
out.
I'm super excited for it. I'm nervous and excited at the same time. There's more money than I've ever seen. I've had to get investors to help out because, you know, you're touching legal money at this point. They need to check every dollar and make sure everything's right. Um, so I got other people's money involved. Um, the competition around me is growing 15,000 plants while I'm only growing 100 in this legal market. The difference is my hundred's better, so I'm really not worried about that. It's going to sell, and I'm going to get bigger as it goes. But in the long run, the time and the amount of time it takes and the amount of security and scrutiny you have to go through afterwards, like they got 24-hour cameras in your facility, you can no longer smoke there. You got to stay open during hours where they can come and check you out at any random time, so 7 to 5. And it's almost like I decided to go work for the government again at my own facility. But I am excited to never have to worry about going to bed at night and wondering if I'm going to have to go back to fighting again, because I don't want to have to ever be a cook again. So that's where my life was going, was just to be a professional fighter and use my body the best I could. I don't ever want to have to do that again. I love fighting, but the more I see these kids that I train and the more I see the people that I, you know, sponsor in order to fight, the more I hope that when they do go professional and they do make it big, that they take enough money to set aside, because once you're 35 and you're all beat up and you can't really do it anymore, you ain't got enough money. You also didn't go to college. And you also didn't do anything else. There's nothing really for you. I don't want to have to, you know, I like to go to sleep at night. Once again, as Michigan started changing its laws, the more they're trying to take away people's rights to be able to caregive for themselves or caregive for others or grow their own 12. And I'm not for that. I just don't want to be left behind either. You know what I'm saying? If I can get my foot in the door and not have to worry about it anymore, I'll always go to every rally there is or anything of that sort to support the cannabis growers at home, because that's who's going to be growing the seeds. That's who's going to be growing anything there is in the first place. That's where I started from. I would never ever want to take that from them. But just remember that I'm trying to take throats when I come to this legal market, man. It made me have to go to this legal market because they're trying to take what I wanted to do away from me. When I come here, I ain't got no friends when it comes to them, you know. They can lobby all they want and do what they want to do to take away people's rights, but they got to remember they let me in the door, and they can buy my strains when I'm done selling them to all the dispensaries. And eventually, once I get big enough, I'm going to outprice what they have and have better weed. And I don't really care if I take their money, you know. So that's for me to feel bad about when it comes down to it. What I want to see is more caregivers in this industry in Michigan take the steps that I took to go legal to help me do this mission. There's one mission here, man. It's to stop these people from stopping in and coming with their Marlboro money, taking what we've started and what we've done. There's only one way to do it. Take the laws that they've given us a chance to go do, join this market, and we as a collective outbeat them with better pricing and better product, where they realize they're not making it anymore without us. So that's the way that I see my next 5-year goals going, is just me trying to beat the bigger people. And there's pages like Gage out here and Skymint. I'd like to just get all these people shut down and have people that have mom and pop dispensaries carry the cannabis that's top notch, that's from my genetics and my stuff, so that they can have a chance too, you know.
Yeah, for sure. I can stand behind a company like yours because I'm all about beating out the big money. You know, there's too many
Yep.
Walmarts in this world, and like you said, like all it is just they have money. They don't even know what they're doing necessarily. You know, they just learned about cannabis 4 or 5 years ago. You know what I mean? And it's just I don't like the big money. I would rather see the people like you that have a true interest and a true love for it. You know, that knows about the craft. There's so much to it. You know, and
100%.
yeah, it's just it makes me sick to see the big money win. I hate that, man. It's so easy for someone to go buy something, you know, and
And that's
ain't no coolness in that, man.
that's literally happening out here. Like, I've already been offered a lobby spot to be part of the lobby group to go against these people. And I told them they're on drugs. Like, why would I join something that's going to be against me right afterwards? If you get rid of them, they're going to start to go to every city and go, don't let 100 plant grow ops here. Only allow one per city. That way that only 100 caregivers can transfer over at the end. I would never, ever allow them to, allow me to go in there. I told them right away, like, it was really weird too. Is the bigger grow op next to my grow op? This dude's got like a 1,500 plant outdoor grow, a 2,500 plant indoor grow medical, and a 5,000 or two 1,500 plant grow rec that he just built right next to my little 3,200 square foot building. And the first thing he does when he finds out what strains I have is start asking him, can he get my strains in metric? You know what I'm saying? Like, can I get that strain? I explained to him, I'm not really giving out clones because that's my foot in the door in order to make sure that I can compete against you. Like, what are you talking about? He's like, well, I'll get you a spot in this lobby group. It'll be very beneficial to you. And I had to let him know right then, like, it's not beneficial to me at all to join a lobby group that's beneficial for you. I don't care about caregivers. Caregivers don't bother me. They bother you. And honestly, that was the first time I opened my eyes, and that was about 6 months ago. I don't even got a full building in play yet, and people are already trying to snake my shit, add me to things I don't want to be part of, and show me their true colors right away. And all he could talk about is how much money he's got in this game and how he's got dispensaries and monopolies pretty much when you're not supposed to in this legal market. It's crazy. You're not supposed to be able to have a dispensary and a grow op and a fucking processing lab unless you have somebody that's making up legal names that are really just owned by your money, and you're just not being truthful about what's happening. And he pretty much admitted to all that stuff, then tried to offer me spots in the lobby and tell me about how he's going to city to take away crap. And as I sat there and talked with this guy, I'm like, this is sickening. And I'm really, really glad that I'm doing what I'm doing, but it made my new passion to be, you guys are my enemy. I'm inside your guys' market, but I don't really want to be here. I've had to move my family. My city didn't accept this license of mine, and all the buildings towards that way were all like bought out by millionaires. So I had to move over an hour away from my family where I grew up my whole life in order to chase this dream. And now that I'm here, I'm happy to be here for myself, but I'm not happy with these people that force me out of my own comfort zone in order to chase my dreams. So, like I said, when I go into this field, it's like pretty much fights on with me in that mentality. It's bells have just rung, and I'm not here to be friends. And if you want to try to be a dispensary next to me, I'll go to the dispensary next to them, make sure that they get the best weed so that that dispensary closes down for carrying your shit. Eventually, as I get bigger, I already got people in talks with a 10,000 square foot building in the next 3 years. As I get bigger, I'll be able to compete with their prices on top of grow better stuff and just be an all around better company that people are going to want to see and have in Michigan for this type of craft. And I won't feel bad about taking out these bigger companies. It's people like them that give me the drive in order to actually do this now and want to really go in here and just be better than them. Before, I just want to be a part of it. Now I just want to be the best in Michigan because that means I beat them. That's a big deal for me.
Well, as far as I'm concerned, you already won. I mean, hands down. I'm gonna put my money on you, man. That's for sure.
Appreciate that, man.
Because these other cats, yeah, they love money, but you got the drive, you got the fight. I want to see one of them step in a ring with you 10 years ago. You know what I mean?
Appreciate that.
Let's see how much ass they really have to put behind their dreams.
100, yeah. And I mean, honestly, it's just sad seeing them go and do as much as they're doing. I think this year, and it's really big for people to start paying attention, but as my lawyer was explaining, there's things going on behind the closed doors, and the lobbyists have now finally got their foot in a hold out here to where now they've got a hold to our upper house inside Michigan, and they've made it to where in November they'll be doing their House vote, and if they get all 11 of the votes, they will be able to withstand what we can care give here in the first place. So you'll no longer be able to grow for 6 patients at 12 plants. It'll be 6 patients at 6 plants. That's 36 plants instead of 72. You can no longer have them in facilities without being checked by fire marshals and stuff like that since. And now a city can tell you no where they used to not be able to tell you no. So they're pretty much making it to where you're going to have these $500,000 facilities in order to go to grow like 36 plants that you can't even sell to a dispensary. It's pretty much just going to be like cutting the hours from an employee, is what they're trying to do. And I can't tell you no because you guys have vetoed a law inside of the laws here to where we can't really get rid of it, but we can start to change it slightly. And they said if that passes, they'll have 1 year from November in order to oblige to these changes, which means they give you pretty much about a year from now, maybe a year and 2 months from now, if this passes, in order to do it. I think there's something happening this Wednesday, too, as a matter of fact, where they're going to Lansing to go protest about this. And I don't know if anybody's on here from Michigan, but I'm going to go, and you guys should all probably go if anyone's around because this is a big news. And even though I'm leaving the medical field, this is where I started, and I'd hate to see for the behind closed doors crap that they're doing to be passed through the house because it's already paid off people, you know. So at this point, we just got to make sure that they at least know that there's enough people that still stand behind the Caregiver Act that ain't going to stand for this. That's about the best we can do.
For sure, man, and I totally support your cause. And if I was out that way, I'd definitely come out and show
Oh,
up
for
with you.
sure.
Yeah, that's definitely something. We need reform all over. I mean, just period. That they need to go ahead and push for legalization, or just period. I mean, it's getting to the ridiculous point. Not just your state, everyone's state. I mean, it's so stupid to have an imaginary line, and on this side you're good, and on that side you're going to go to prison the rest of your life. It's retarded.
100. Yeah, that's crazy. That's so
Yeah,
crazy.
man. Yeah, it's inevitable. That's the one word to sum it all up. Legalization, inevitable. It's gonna happen. So yeah,
Yeah.
I totally, I stand behind y'all's fight up there in Michigan. Totally, man. Well, we've had a good interview, dude. So, is any kind of shout outs you want to do at the end or anything? Anything you want to mention last second?
Yeah, man. Just want to say Michigan has some fire herbs. So if you guys ever come by and you guys get a chance, man, don't hesitate to reach out, man. I'll definitely blaze you guys out.
Oh yeah, dude. That's what's up. And I want to remind everybody, I did the giveaway post right before I did this live. So get over there on the giveaway post. And if I can hold this up without dropping everything, you're going to win the pot of platinum heart and soul pack with the rolling tray stickers and all. So, want to get over there and definitely enter that. I'll leave it up for 5 or 10 minutes after the show before I go live and announce the winner. But we'll do a random number generator. So definitely want to get over and get in on that. But man, it's been good, Travis. I feel like I know a lot more about Tarantula Genetics. And a lot more about the whole movement you got there. I didn't realize that it was so in depth, so deep. It was definitely something. You know what I mean? To get to learn all that because I see what you got going on Facebook, but sometimes you just don't get the whole story out because you can't scroll through the billion posts. So it's
Yeah,
good to
yeah.
see it all. You bringing it straight, the man himself bringing it to the table, letting everybody in on the story with it.
Yeah, I appreciate the chance to get the opportunity, man. Like I said, it's this is my life. This is what I take as my career as I take my kid to school and the teachers ask me what I do. I'm like, bitch, I pay the taxes here. I'm like, what do you mean? I'm growing weed. It is what it is. I mean, as of 2 years ago, I didn't get to say that stuff. I was still just telling people I train people at a gym. I mean, that I did, but I didn't make money. I did that off the part of just me wanting to help other students get good. And a lot of people, it was hard for me to be able to train back in the day. It was hard to be able to go to work fucking 40 hours a week and barely make money, but pay for the proper training. So if I could help people, I always did. And being that I ran the gym for 5 years at that Bushido MMA. I was the Brazilian Jiu Jitsu coach and Thai boxing coach there on Tuesdays and Thursdays. It just made me feel good to be able to help these fighters as much as I could, to be able to help them on their dreams and watch them chase their dreams. And that's honestly what I look for in anyone that's ever contacted me in this cannabis community, is who's truly chasing their dreams and how can I help you chase your dreams, man. That's truly why I'm here. I like to see people with drive, and I like to see people that ain't scared to ask the right questions to get where they need to be, because no one knows everything and no one can ever not learn everything. So that's why I truly do everything I've always done. And I still love and continue to do that. If anyone ever wants to reach out and ask questions about how to run cocoa or what they think strains should look like, even if it's not my strain, I don't care. I'm willing to help you because as a grower, I've had to ask my questions too.
Yeah, definitely. See, that's the whole focus and point of my show is like I don't do anything big myself, because see, I'm in a legal state where I can't do anything big without, risk of everything in the world happening, that's
Mm-hmm.
bad. So I tried to find my niche in the market, and it's like I can bring a voice to people that I feel need a big voice out there, and because I had questions, I came in as a fan, and I just seen like, what is this market missing? What is it missing? And it's like I see all these people, but really, like it's just cool images sell stuff, or just like you
Mm-hmm.
said, just names sell stuff. I want to meet the people. What's really behind this? You know,
Yeah, there's
it's
probably
a,
a
it's phenomenal.
thousand awesome stories, man, and it's awesome that you're out here trying to pull it out for people because no one sees the backstory when it comes to businesses like this. This ain't fighting. No one really cares what you've truly done. They just want to know if it's fire in someone's garden or not. Uh, but to truly know that I care and that my objective is to just make sure that everyone can grow their medicine at home because this is where it's all started as medicine and helping people. Um, it's all fun to have competition. I love competition, but in the long run, I'm just here to make sure everyone gets to grow the same fire that I get to grow and have the same opportunity that I've been given in the last 4 years with the genetics that I've made. So,
For sure, man. Well, I don't want to run the video too
yeah, oh,
long.
yeah, you're good,
People
man. I
under
appreciate you.
runs won't watch it. You know what I mean? So we got
Yeah,
to keep it a certain, demographic type link there. But I definitely want to get back with you and do some more video stuff, man. I find your movement and the whole brand Tarantula just so fascinating. So you definitely got a fan for me, man. I love it. I just, we need to get back on the video with some other stuff and go in depth with some grow stuff or whatever. Just we'll
for
shoot
sure.
some ideas and let's get back on the video one day, dude.
Yeah, for sure. I would definitely would. I'd love to, man. I appreciate you for having me.
Yeah, man. Well, I appreciate you, but let's jump off here, man.
Yep.
Call it a night. But it's been a real two bros smoke. We got Tarantula Genetics, Travis Spivey right there. We were in the
Have
house.
a
We
good one.
told you what's up. We dominated, and now we're out. Be good, brother. Good to talk to you, man.
Have a good one. Thank you.
Thank you.